You know, it's very validating, Suparna. I'll tell you what. I wrote the first draft of it and everybody hated it. Because you're afraid of failing so much, you procrastinate. Everyone only wants me to invite on a panel discussion, ask me that one question which I know that what do you think about representation in Indian cinema? So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm more than that. I wanted it to be like slowly pick up and like be reaching B towns, C towns.
Did you see your reality, your life? And I'm not just talking about caste. There's so much in your film.
My background of being from a Dalit community maybe also gives me that empathy to talk about people who are not spoken about. I always want to be working hard towards making this happen because it's not just a film made by me, it's also a lot of crew members. It's also representing a whole country. I mean, this is our chance to probably make it. And above all, I think it is also representing the lives of millions of Shoaibs and Chandans. As much as very humble and, that way I may seem, I genuinely mean it that it would mean so much to all those people that we strived hard to like make them be seen, heard, and validated across the world. So that is the ultimate hard work that I want to put in. Like, that's my ultimate goal. And I will work very, very hard. And Dharma is leaving no stone unturned. Karan Johar is putting all his might into making this happen. And I'm blessed to have such a company to like really like they're going all the way. But I want to not have expectations. I genuinely don't want to have expectations because I really want to work hard. Because output, I don't know.
जो होगा
And
देखा जाएगा
जो
type.
होगा देखा जाएगा. And I'm actually glad that we've got this far. And I'm very happy for we've come this far.
Right, right. You talked about representing the Shoaibs and the Chandans. And so in this journey that you've taken the film to Cannes, to Toronto, to America for your Oscar campaign, have you had moments where Shoaibs and Chandans have reached out to you and said something? Have you had such moments?
That is the sad part is that I wanted it to be like slowly pick up and like be reaching B towns, C towns. Uh, that has not happened. That is my personal thing that, it's not being seen by the people that it is made about. And that has been my constant thing with film festivals as well. Because we independent filmmakers, we have to sort of at least give in to something of the European idiom of filmmaking. And uh, it's either like it'll work very best at a Cannes festival or at any of the festival, or it will do very good at the middle road is what I'm trying to find, but it's very, very difficult path. It's very difficult than doing either one of them, I feel. So there are a lot of people who've DM'd me and who've said that, and also people in North India understand more about like how this frenzy of getting into Sarkari job and writing these exams and how much it means. So those people have written to me a lot. And the actual survivors of the story, Muhammad Sayyub, I spoke to him and I was actually dreading a lot because how much ever I desperately wanted him to see it, I didn't want him to get triggered. And
Right.
there is no way that he will not get triggered. And he saw it took him some time to recover. I mean, he cried for like a day or two, and then we spoke, and then he was so happy that this film got made, and he was about like how he said himself that it feels like stories of so many people that I personally know of, and that felt good.
Yeah, that's like it's a little for me, even just hearing that is a little overwhelming when,
Yeah.
um
There is a small incident that happened, Suparna, on Twitter. Like there is somebody tagged me. They gave me an experience of theirs. They said early days of this release and not many people were coming the first day or second day or whatever, and there was this bunch of guys who went to watch the film and they were watching and they were very emotional. Some of them cried and all that, and as the credits rolled, they were just about to get up and they saw a man in their same row far across. He's sitting alone and crying. So they sat back and stayed in for him to finish. Then they took him out for chai and talked to him and
Oh,
eased him down. You know, that is for any that is exactly the message of the film, and also like how it moved. It was a small incident, but I don't know why it just moved me so much that films could do such things to people.
films do, as we all know, I mean, I think in fact, this episode is like so,
I
I
can
don't know,
imagine. Right? Yeah,
it's
it is. When I read it, I felt like, and I put it on my Instagram as well. I was like, I know it's a very small incident, but like there is something deep about it. It's like a haiku, like I don't know why. It's like,
yeah, it is, and it stays with you, it's like
yeah,
something I did,
yeah,
kahin na kahin, kuch, you
yeah,
know,
and it made people to have that gesture to others, the empathy that I was trying to create with like how connection between people is most necessary and empathy is most necessary, and to see that happening live in the audience is like that was something.
yeah. And which kind of takes me to, you talked about your, I think with Martin Scorsese in your interview, you've talked about your influences and,
Mhm.
Fellini and the Hungarian film director,
Bellatar.
right. And Bellatar, right. And you've talked about Ray, but what were the films that you actually grew up watching? Did you grow up watching a lot of Indian films?
It was Doordarshan for us, and the afternoon films. They were regional films, and also like many of the parallel cinema of those years, Govind Nilani, and all of those films and Satyajit Ray. Those, my sisters used to watch a lot of them. Even mother used to watch them a lot, and like the classic story that everyone has that we grew up on Bachchan. I actually had like these films in my house. Like my sister and all would wait for the Sunday to show up, and then they'd want to watch this. And it's like my mom is making biryani on the Sunday, and Salim Langre Pe Matro is gonna play. It's that it felt like home. It's like Mammo. I mean, Mammo was the film that I used to like. Used to find it so nice that you stay at home and your mom is cooking and you're watching Mammo. That to me somehow felt home. And those were my early like bachpan mein, we used to watch these films. And also we used to get this VHS and वहां से हम लोग लेके आते थे. So I
हाँ,
remember we used to get Jurassic Park and horror films a lot. And whenever there was a intimate scene, my sisters would drive me away and like they would fast forward it. So a lot of Honey I Shrunk the Kids and all of those films that we used to like as a child, there was a lot of curiosity in watching the parallel cinema more than your commercial Diwar and all those.
right.
Like I didn't grow up on Sholay, but I grew up on all these films.
Right. And like, this incident that you shared, which somebody shared with you on these boys shared with you on Twitter, this did you see your reality, your life? And I'm not just talking about cast.
Yeah,
There's so much in your film,
yeah,
right? There's about job, unemployment, railways,
yeah,
cricket, microaggressions,
yeah,
when you get a job, where you get a job. I mean, there's caste, class, gender politics.
yeah.
There's so much in your film. So s- did you find like connection with the films that these parallel cinemas, like films that you,
I think there is a vestige of that. Because I think the socialist in me started maybe watching these films. And also my background of being from a Dalit community maybe also gives me that empathy to talk about people who are not spoken about or generally relegated to like victim or like, so maybe that penchant to speak about these stories came from that time and growing up in a household. So uh, I feel also that like I masqueraded as a person from the upper caste for a very long time, and I used to feel that if I make this live, nobody will find out and nobody will know, and my life will be very easy, and which it has for many people as well. But internally, what happens is that the fear of being outed, of being caught, of being spotted that this person, then because when they ask you the last name, it's like you want to become an ostrich and just bury your head in. You know,
Mm.
that's what happens when somebody asks me last name. Because it's that question, because I was going by Neeraj Kumar and I hid my last name. And everybody would ask, like I would, like in Chandan in the film, like it would come up with a lot of excuses. Like I learned about what to say about Gotra, about this thing and all that. And I learned them by heart. But it creates the fear and this hiding and this carrying this secret and carrying this more than secret, the shame of it all. It does something to a person. And after 35 years, I think even after Masan, after many years, I even like my best friend Varun Grover didn't know at that time. And I slowly started talking about it to my friends, and then I publicly spoke about it, and then it became such a thing. So all of those things I also wanted to put in. And also, I think a lot of like there is that, I think that like a lot of people have said, like it's sort of do bigha zameen is. So maybe that has stayed in my childhood watching on Doordarshan, those films. Like it has that grammar somewhere, you know, of the yesteryear's cinema. Um, so that, of course, I think there is a vestige. And going ahead, also, I think I've tried to incorporate not just about my identity also about my friendship with my neighbor Askar. And I actually was at biryani chore. I was so obsessed with biryani. Like I actually used to on Eid, I used to sit on top of my terrace and I would make notes as to कौन सी आंटी ने क्या क्या भेजा है. इस आंटी ने सिर्फ लाइक शिरकुमा भेजा है तो इनको दिवाली पे सिर्फ चकली जाएगी और कुछ नहीं जाएगा. You know, I used to argue with my mom that, you know, essentially that I used to make a note of everyone. And my neighborhood auntie Askar Shehnaz actually named the film, the Shoaib's mom also Shehnaz
Right.
in the same light. And also because Shoaib's actual mom, I mean, anyway, that's a long story.
Oh,
But so I was waiting 3 बज गया उनके घर से आया नहीं बिरयानी. So I jumped from my terrace to theirs, and then because they went for namaz, and I went down, and I was eating right off the bartan, like the this thing, and auntie walks in, and then didn't realize, and they said, "बोल देते बेटा घर भेज देते," and I felt so embarrassed. So that, and also I put out my own, apart from the casting, is also about patriarchy that I have seen in my own growing up as a son after three elder sisters, and how at least not my parents, but like my grandparents would favor me. And I was put on the spotlight and this favoritism that happens, you know,
mm,
and one could see that, and I felt quite ashamed of it. And at the same time, I grew up around, and because my dad was this patriarchal person, and also because I mean his conditions were also different. And both my parents, you know, like their conditions, they grew up, were extremely difficult, and they were also trying to figure out their life. And suddenly, bam, they got married, and they were also trying to figure out. And you know, so yeah, he was this patriarchal, abusive person. But I know the context of what has happened to him and how did he become that. So for my safe place was my sisters. My safe place was my mother, and hence my approach to feminism comes from there, to absorb from there. It's not like I've read many books on feminism or read a lot of theories on feminism. It's just that a plain observation as to how like my mother would, like, you know, like I've seen in my own family circle how they would, how the would go into the kitchen and men would sit in the living rooms. They'll have the air cooler, and I've seen that, and I wanted to put that out in juice.
right,
And like the same way that, you know, I've tried to bring into my own observations, and also some things that not just are glorifying, but also that I'm embarrassed about. I just don't want to put out something that's okay. Yeah, as a writer, director, you steal some parts of your life also, but you also want to put out something that you've not, like you find it egregious.
right. And in fact, that's one thing I've noticed from Juice to Gilipucci to even Homebound to even Masan. All your work has very strong, even Made in Heaven, and has very strong female characters, and and they are framed within patriarchy, where they are. and there is some kind of reaction to patriarchy, or there is, a residual within their life which they are suffering. So does that come from just observing your sisters and being aware of your own privilege as a male? In a way,
Maybe I think I'm being that overcompensatory person, maybe because one is overcome with so much guilt about it, and you feel that it shouldn't have happened. So maybe it's a way of reparation I'm trying to do, where see, like I'll give an instance of like how again, like I have how I prefaced about how my father's and my mother's conditions were different. I mean, literally, my father was the first one who went to school in his entire genealogy,
right,
uh, and obviously they didn't know. They moved to Hyderabad. My mother didn't know the language and whatnot, and she knew that. I mean, my dad used to actually. I don't want to make it a sob story, but like my dad used to actually cycle to work. He was into research and agriculture research. And we were actually living in the house like that's shown in Shoaibs, Chandan's house.
right,
That we used to have that cats fighting and the thing would drop. We used to live. So my mom actually thought that my kids need good education, not just like education, but like quality education. They should speak in English. They should do all of those things. She started tailoring and very small tailoring, and then we also started helping her, like we would get 25 paisa for like doing a blouse ka, the hemming, whatever.
right.
We used to all help, but then it was entirely her hard work, and she bought a machine slowly, and from that machine she opened up a small little store, garment store in the house ke samne wahin pe, in the house itself. And then one, two, three, she like over the span of her life she had like three stores.
Oh,
And
wow.
um and she never gets validation for that. She's only defined as, oh wow, you've raised your children so good, you've done so much to your husband, and all is good now. And even my father doesn't acknowledge that, and I find it. Maybe someday he will do that. I mean, because she has contributed equally as much as my dad. Sorry, I'm bringing this all this
No, 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 please, because
family drama into this whole thing,
no,
but like,
no, it's not drama. It's your
yeah.
life, and
So I
and
think I'm somehow one like trying to make amends. uh, I feel like maybe if I bring in all these strong women into my work, it somewhere very inadvertently validates her life journey. Maybe, yeah.
so in a way, it's like it is validating to see your reality reflected on screen, right? So just like that man, and maybe. So has your mother reacted to your films, or especially
They are
Homebound?
slow. Every watch they discover, like they keep watching. Like, so it's so funny that so सुबह उठ के my mom and dad they नहा धो के तैयार हो जाते हैं, and then they sit in front of the TV and they put YouTube and they keep watching my videos, all interviews, okay? And they think that YouTube is only, they're like, YouTube सिर्फ तुम्हारी चीजें दिखा रहा है. And they think that because of the algo, one thing like, and
Right.
they think that YouTube is only showing my stuff. That become so popular that YouTube is only showing my stuff. So it's funny. And the thing is that every viewing they discover something or the other. And I myself discovered, like जो चंदन का घर बनता है, and I remember हम लोग का वैसे ही घर था ना, तो पहली बार हमारा घर बन रहा है. So that excitement was so much. And I used to remember that dad used to give us work to like छत पे slab पे पानी डालना है.
Huh.
And that used to be like alternate, like me, my sister, and all of us. We all used to like wanting to do that. It used to be fun to do that. And I used to see my dad doing it. And in the film, I actually there's an image that where Chandan's dad is watering the roof. And after shooting, I realized that then I remember that my dad used to do that, and that image was exactly that. Like against the sun, he's watering. So I think I myself am discovering so many things that came in that I
Right.
think they're also discovering all of these things. And they also feel like, you just like so many of our stories have like my sisters and all, they feel that, they don't know what to say actually. Yeah, so that
But there must be like, I mean,
and I'm like again I'm becoming a hero. Can you please not make this about me? Like It's
But you're the director, you're the creator of the
uh,
writer, director. So I think that credit is totally due, and you should accept that. Um, it- Talking about, like, the first part of the film Homebound
mhm.
is, you draw a lot from your life, which
Yeah,
is right, and the second part is from Basharat Peer's
yeah.
piece. So one thing that kind of I wanted to know was, to begin the film. I mean, the film is so rooted in reality, in our Indian reality, in caste reality, in
Yeah,
patriarchal reality, and and unemployment, and all of that.
yeah.
Tend to begin with that kind of government mandated disclaimer. It I think when we start begin watching the film, because it doesn't strike you, because it's become so routine now that it's
It
right.
was a mandate. I mean, CBFC had asked me to do that.
Right.
I put it that disclaimer. Of course, I don't want it, but to be honest with you, like CBSE, they've been very accommodative. They've had good negotiations with me. I mean, every film is a negotiation, right? Especially for this film. I mean, it was bound to happen, and we talked out a lot of things. I mean, there was dignity across, like, even if you agree to disagree, there was dignity on either sides and how they went about it.
Okay.
So, but then, like, the disclaimer, I mean, because I wanted to allow certain things, I was like, okay, that's what happens. It's like we filmmakers have to make certain compromises to make a larger thing go in.
Right.
So it's not like we're towing the line. It's not like we're spineless. It's just that you got to do some things to make some bigger things allow, to
Right.
be allowed.
Right. And that reality is, not lost on journalists also. So we
I
know.
mean, in a way, it was ironic. So I was like, okay, it does make a statement, so it's fine.
Yeah. So, but do you
Hey,
crave?
even the process of like this, like so while writing the story, I mean, Sumit Roy, the dear friend, together we co-wrote the story. But then, like, there was Shoaib Nazir who was helping me on the research. And during the research, we went with like so much because I didn't want to fabricate reality in the sense like I don't want to imagine. I wanted to only recreate episodes of even microaggression. Like one of the things, like we listed down real microaggressions that have happened to people. Like we spoke to many people, including religion or caste, both, and even women. And we heard them down and like we noted down and we thought that which one to go with, which fits in well. We didn't want to create something, and that's why any of the arguments that were also like there, even like the smallest things, like the thing about like how how all of us have seen during pandemic that how migrants have said that uh, खाना तो छोड़ो मतलब कोरोना छोड़ो पहले भूख से मर जाएंगे.
Right.
We've heard this in multiple versions, and that's why I didn't even change the line. Like it's like it has to go exactly the way that they've said it.
Right.
So that has also been quite a thing to like because narrative challenge was a pandemic that nobody wants to revisit. It is something that is, you know, very recent, a wound that nobody wants to go to. And how do I also talk about what has happened and about this story? Because I'm like, this story came to me and I have to do justice to it. I can't like shun away from it. Then I chose to take this path where, uh, even with the pandemic journey, let's just stick to the boys. Let's not make a grand statement. Let's not make, because if that's the whole idea to make people understand by presenting them as humans. Like even in pandemic, like we all speak in statistics. इतने लोग पैदल चले इतने लोग मरे इतने लोग ये हुआ and it is I mean there's no accountability to it because it is just for urban people to feel give a token statement and move away with it. But if you were to pick up one migrant out of that and if you were to know their entire lifetime and how did they arrive, what were the reasons, why did they move from their villages and come here and how did they survive in the city and how punishing was it for them to live and how was it to go back, maybe that will create that empathy. That was the whole idea. So That was a path that I took, that to stay with the boys, which is also what Mr. Scorsese's advice was, to stay with the boys.
Right. And I find that narrative arc of this two, the way you've brought it together, you and Varun, the way you've written it, I think the writing is so powerful and the writing is so strong, the
Yeah.
screenplay and the story is so strong.
You
And
know, it's very validating, Suparna. I'll tell you why. Sorry, I'm stopping you right here.
no, no, please
And
stop
I'm
me.
actually, I actually cut you in. I'm very sorry about that. Because, when I started, I wrote the first draft of it and everybody hated it. And
Oh
I
God.
myself hated it. I myself hated it. I thought, what is this full woe? Then I thought, and I took up a challenge. I was like, okay, let me go back. Let me do it again. And so Sumit Roy, when he came on board, and he said that Neeraj, the kind of world that you're attempting and bringing in is probably aloof to me, but I will help you in structure. So that's how we came together to write the story together. Then, writing the screenplay, I used to get nightmares. I'm waking up at 4 a.m., 3 a.m., and I'm playing with my cats, and I'm like on doom scrolling again because you're afraid of failing so much. You procrastinate,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I did that. And I was also going through some personal things where I was battling depression and all that. And in the middle of that, to write was so difficult. This thing that I feel that I'm not a writer, I'm not a writer, I'm only a director. That fear of failing was so insurmountable. Finally, like screenplay, and then I also wrote the dialogues. But then I knew that I need Varun Grover. Like I need him at least to have a look at things. So
Right.
him and Sridhar Dubey, they came on and they helped me spruce up the dialogue a little. Uh, and also like he gave me a lot of interesting points about the structure. So that has been like, a thing where, so which is why I'm saying like it means a lot, because I have had such a big imposter problem to think that I can never be a writer, or, like, and Varun kept guiding me that, the life experiences are a thing, like not because, I mean, yeah, of course, there is a lot of rigor and science and academia that one has to pursue, but there is also life experiences.